So every now and then, someone walks into this profession with a clear sense of purpose and a hunger to grow. Someone who reminds us why fresh voices matter and why the future of finance will look very different from its past. Today, you will hear from a young woman who refuses to let circumstances set her limits, who sees learning as a doorway, and who is already showing what can happen when curiosity leads the way. This is a story about looking ahead with an open mind and exploring what is possible. Welcome to PROpulsion, the weekly show for financial planners and advisors who want to build better, more successful businesses. I'm your host, Francois du Toit, and every week we dive into the practical strategies that matter, from growing your client base and improving your services to developing yourself and your team. Whether you're running your own practice or you're part of a larger firm, you are guaranteed to find actionable insights to help your business thrive. So with that, welcome, and let's get into today's episode. Right, so Karabo Huma is from Soshanguve. She's part of a team at Reach Ideas Group, where she supports planners and advisors and is building a strong foundation in her future in this amazing profession. She brings a bright mind, a steady work ethic, and a deep passion for financial education, especially for young people and also for her community. So I'm very happy today to have Karabo with us. And on that note, Karabo, warm welcome to the show.
Good morning, Francois, and everyone watching online.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to getting into the conversation with you, Karabo. Is there anything that you want us to know about you before we get going that I didn't mention maybe in the introduction before I just jump into asking all these questions? Is there anything you'd like to tell us about you?
No, definitely. You tried, Francois. But for everyone else, my name is Karabo Huma. He did say that I was born and raised in Soshanguve. I come from a family of 4, so I am the firstborn daughter to 3 amazing kids. So I have 2 beautiful brothers that come after me. Yes, I am currently at Rich Ideas as their intern. And I did my honors in financial planning from the University of Johannesburg. So in 2024, I got funded by the Women in Finance to actually further my studies and do my honors in financial planning. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Karabo, so I'm obviously quite interested. Most people's story goes like, I landed up in financial planning. So I'm curious to learn. You're young, right? You are hip, you're happening, like you want to do very cool stuff. But what is it that drew you to financial planning, and when did it start to feel like a challenge or a calling rather than just, this is just a job for now? Like, tell us a little bit about what drew you to this.
Sure. Francois, for me, that's basically cycling back to my childhood, and I think that's what cultivated my interest in the finance space. So I grew up in a family that, finances were a constant topic in the house. And I saw how it had the power to break the family. So that's how I view finances and the strength that they possess. And I also come from a community that uses money as a tool to survive, just enough to see the next day, and for me, that is why I got inquisitive. But obviously back then, I didn't know that there was something called financial planning. I just knew that I wanted to go into finance, and that's what I did. I got into finance. And when I did my 3rd year, that's when I actually got, exposed to financial planning and what really is about. I remember when we had a case study competition with the FPI, we were given such an interesting case to work on. This man who had just got retrenched, and the wife was blind, and we had to find solutions on how they can continue living without their quality of life being compromised. And for me, from there, I think that's when I felt more in love with the profession, seeing what it actually does for people. And I always say it's actually inclined, or rather it's aligned with my purpose in life, I always say my purpose in life is to be of service to others. And financial planning is how I choose to be of service to other people, making sure that, they are well taken care of. Even when they're no longer, they're just making sure that their loved ones are well taken care of. So that is what drew me into financial planning, just the solutions we're able to bring as financial planners, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's, I guess, if you, I mean, you were referring to when you grew up, and sort of, and how the community and the environment in which you find yourself has a particular way of doing things, or they have particular circumstances, and a particular mindset probably as well, that then all goes with that. I mean, it's true of any kind of situation like that. So how is it that, I mean, I know that you often say that you don't let your background define your future. That's something that you are quite adamant about, and quite passionate about, I would say, as well. So what is it in, because there's always this one individual that decides, like, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to be like that, I'm going to do things differently, I want a different future, I want to change things, and not only do I want to, I'm going to. So how, Karabo, how are you managing to do that? And I mean, you're early on in your career, right? But what was that for you to go, like, I can and will do this differently?
Sure. Franca, that's an interesting one. Growing up in my community, a lot of opportunities felt out of reach. It felt like you want to go to university, that is not really realistic with the financial situation at home. Um, but I always say this, and I think that's how I've gotten to where I am right now. Having or finding a physical representation of what you want to become or what you aspire to be is something that sets you apart more than anything. And that is something that has set me apart. Back in Matric, we had a campaign coming in our school called Keep That Goal Shining. And we got allocated mentors, right? And they would take us to universities just so we can see that it is possible. And I think from there, that's where I drew my confidence in I can do this. The exposure that I got, I always say exposure also sets you so much apart because you're able to see that you can dream outside of the city where you come from. And even when you go outside, there's a lot of opportunities that presents themselves to you. So having the mentors that actually guided me in life helped me with the application, tried to reroute me in a certain way so that I'm much more exposed to opportunities, really put me where I am. And I always say, the same old saying, it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a village to raise a child. For me, that has it's my life has portrayed that so well. I feel like I am where I am now because of in my different walks of life, people have given me certain opportunities. Back in Matric, we got the campaign that came and the mentors that I got helped me to, apply at varsity and get into varsity. When I was in varsity, when I was doing my final year, I had a lecturer that said, "Hey, I think you could be a good fit to represent the UJ at the FPI case study convention, case study challenge that happened in the convention center." Now that I'm working, there's a lot of opportunities that have been presented. And I think if I wasn't in those rooms, I wouldn't have gotten exposed to them. Yeah, so for me, it's really the exposure. It's really have a physical presentation of who you aspire to become, or who you want to become rather, and allowing yourself to grab those opportunities. I know that, certain things I've never done, like coming on the show is something that is new to me. But when the opportunity is presented, I always grab it with both my hands and like, I'll see what I'll do. I don't know what to do right now, but I'll definitely see and find a way. So that for me has set me apart and it's put me where I am currently.
I mean, I was going to ask you a follow-up question, but you now answered that question actually by that last few sentences, because, you know, you're either defined by your circumstances and your environment, or you have the power to change it. we've seen it a couple of seasons ago. We had this, what did we call it? There was the series that we did with young financial planners, basically, and we put it out to everybody. Like wherever we could reach people, we said, you know what, we want to interview people who've got less than, I think it was 3 years or 2 years experience, and we wanted to talk to them and have them on the show, etc. And it is amazing to see how many people who are complaining about things on social media did not take up an opportunity to come and tell their story. And it's always like opportunities are there for everybody. The question is just, are you grabbing them with both hands? So you saying that's because that is the thing. Because one of the questions I want to ask you is like, do you feel like you were lucky to be in that room when that question was asked, or do you think that it was because you were intentional with taking up some of these opportunities that landed you in that room where that opportunity presented itself? So is it luck, or is it more a fact of like, how intentional are you about looking for opportunities and taking up opportunities when they come about?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said, Francois. Yes, there's opportunities, but are you taking them and are you making good use of them? For me, I don't think it's luck. I think it's just being intentional about, getting into those rooms and making sure that you stay, working as hard as you possibly can to make sure that you stay in those rooms. Now the world has changed. There's a lot of opportunities, Francois. It's much more different, much more different than back then. And when all these opportunities present themselves, a lot of opportunities means there's more hands in the basket. So every other person is willing to grab that opportunity. So it's all about what you do to make sure you get those opportunities, you grab those opportunities, and you make good use of them. So I don't think it's luck. It's definitely the hard work and being intentional about your craft.
Yeah, so it's like the harder you practice, the luckier you get, right? So fantastic. Thanks, Karabo. The other thing that I'm quite interested to learn, you were studying and learning about this, and you were part of the student competition that's part of the convention and all of that, which I think is a fantastic initiative by the FBI. I saw again this year when they announced the winners and stuff. It's just, it means so much to those youngsters. Doesn't matter where they come from. It's a massive thing to say, well, this is something, and they can also see what all of this leads to because they're part of all of this. So there's a little bit of a vision there probably. But for you now, going from the academic part of it, the theory part of it, the learning about it part, and then now suddenly working inside of a firm, and seeing things from the inside, not from a textbook side. Tell me a little bit, what's that experience like for you? Was everything in line? Just tell me about when you started there and the year that's passed now, because you've been doing this for a year now. What were some of the things that struck you during that time?
Yeah. Francois, when you talk about the FPI convention and what that opportunity means to a lot of young people, I relate so much, and I almost get goosebumps, because I remember most of my pictures, I was even crying when we won that competition, because that's how much it means. It gives us a sense of purpose more than anything. And it literally aligns your ducks in a row. The opportunities that comes thereafter are immense. As I said, even me being able to be funded by the Women in Finance was because of certain exposures. But going back to your question, I think for me, obviously, when you come from varsity and you start with your first internship, you're like, it's a direct translation of whatever that's in the textbook, But to be quite honest, that is never the reason. I think I am still amazed at how much heart and compassion goes into financial planning, to be quite honest. Yes, it's good, and you must know the technical knowledge. It's all about investments, but honestly, it's really not about numbers and investments and annuities and income protection. It's about being relatable to your clients. It's about having soft skills. I think that is one thing we never learn at varsity, that soft skills is literally at the heart of financial planning. And that is what I believe. You need to be relatable to your clients. You need to be able to talk to your clients. You need to be able to hold conversations and you understand where they are coming from. I genuinely feel, my company and every other company that is a financial planning firm, the financial plan and basically consist of our clients' fears. It consists of our clients' goals. It consists of our clients' aspirations in life. And for you to be able to understand that, you need to understand where they're coming from. You need to be relatable to them and understand their fears from a personal level. And I generally think that's what sets us apart with other jobs that think AI is going to take over. So yeah, for me, it's really just the soft skills that I didn't think was needed for you to be able to be a financial planner. Because yes, it's about numbers, but to be quite honest, it's about people. Our profession is about people. It's about putting people first. It's about what most they care about. Yes, they want an income protection, but why? Where's that coming from? What are the fears around that? And that is something obviously we don't learn at varsity. Even when I was doing the case study competition, when we were met with that case, for me, it was just about how, you need to find a solution. Yes, how this family is going to go forward now that the main breadwinner is no longer working. But understand the fears, understand where they're coming from. There's a lot of behavioral finance biases that happens in how people see money and the relationship they have with money. So yes, it's about the annuities. Yes, it's about the investments, Francois. But it was so amazing for me to actually find out that it's also more so about the people. It's more so about compassion, about your heart. It's more so about being relatable to these people that you're helping. And yeah, that's what amazes me every single day.
So I've got two questions I want to delve in a little bit deeper with you on this topic. So first and foremost, the soft skills that you were referring to. Do you think, because that is often the thing that we hear is that, oh no, I didn't like the two things that they don't teach you is in usually in varsity is how to run a business, how to take the skill you've got to go run a business. But also the other part is that they don't teach you these soft skill stuff. So my question is soft skills something you think and feel, or what is your view on, is it something that can be taught, or is it something that is learned through experience only, or is it a combination, or how would you have loved to be better prepared for that part of the work?
Francois, I genuinely think that the soft skill side of it comes with much more experience. It comes with being able to deal with clients and the experience you take from that. Yes, I do think that it's a combination of experience and being taught. Soft skills is something that can be taught, but when the more you apply it, the more you get better at it. So I genuinely think that it's something that can be taught, and it's something that comes with experience of dealing with clients, going through them with as they go through certain situations, for you to be able to see how best you can navigate it with another client. It can never just be taught alone. It's like learning something and not applying it. What good use is it? It's much better if you learn it and then you apply it to certain clients and get better. It's a skill that can be, polished now and then, to be quite honest.
And thanks for that. And then something that sort of leads on to that, also something that you said earlier, is that you've got to be able to relate to people, understand them, have compassion and all of that. How do you find that, with many different types of clients from different backgrounds and different cultures and so forth? Is there a difference? Does it make a difference that you maybe from the same culture or the same background versus somebody who's not? Or do you think if you really just focus on the person and getting to know them, that those, call them barriers that some people experience, is easily then overcome, or maybe not easily, but it can be overcome then? But just that dynamic between, relating and having that kind of interaction and relationship with different people. Because I think, like, for example, some men, to be honest, like doesn't help or they don't like let's get into the deeper stuff. They just want, they just work from one part of the brain. They just want to get things done. So and others would be open to that. And then you've got the different cultures, etc. So just maybe, how's your experience been around that? Maybe some thoughts around that, because I think that's something that a lot of people are finding really difficult to transcend those barriers.
Sure. Francois, you're right. It is quite difficult. I'm not gonna lie. I think, culture and, races, they do kind of have a certain barrier. Um, Relatability isn't really much, but when there is a common goal, I genuinely feel we can there can be relatability. Yes, I might have clients that are, that have a different background from me, that have a different culture, or come from a different culture rather. Um, it needs you to do twice as much work into getting to know them, to be quite honest. Getting to know someone also brings relatability. So for me, I think it's just unleashing those layers and getting to know them, which is going to bring relatability, which is going to also, make you understand and deal with them with heart and compassion, and understanding where we are going. So basically, understanding the point of destination and where they come from. For me, I think that is what creates relatability. Yes, I mean, if we come from the same background or from the same culture or from the same race, there's maybe a higher chance of relatability. But I do think that it's not limited, and it's not that the barriers can't be removed. I genuinely think with a lot of work, unleashing all those layers, it is possible. It is possible to actually unleash and relate to your clients.
Yeah, awesome. Um, a lot of young financial planners. So young, I mean, not just age-wise. So age is definitely one thing, but also sometimes just newer financial planners. Sometimes they find it difficult to find their voice early on, like who they are, what they stand for, and who they want to work with, and all that kind of stuff. What has that part of the journey been like for you?
Sure. It's a constant journey. I'm still also learning that. I walked into spaces and into rooms surrounded by people that have been in the financial space, on the financial planning space, for like for many years, more than I've lived actually. People that have done this, people that are powerhouses, people that understand what they all about and why they are in this profession, people that have built their craft, and sometimes that can be intimidating. It's really not easy working in a room and you're surrounded by people that have been here, that have seen all these legislations being amended, and they know what they're talking about. But I think finding my voice, and it's something that I'm learning, right, because I'm a baby in this profession, is that finding my voice is not about knowing everything. It's really not about knowing everything. It's really not about um, being able to offer solutions when a case is being presented to you on the spot. It's really not about being able to answer all the questions, or like, it's about being open to learning, being open to receiving these opportunities and grabbing them. And I feel for me, that's what has set me apart. That has been a game changer for me. That when I first started with this internship, I decreed and I said to myself, I am going to be a sponge and I'm going to learn. And I'm just going to dedicate the first few years of my life in this profession learning and just learning. So finding my voice has literally been about that, to be quite honest. Um, yes, it's good to know certain things and have knowledge, but for me, it's always just been about learning more than anything. And yeah, and I think that's really just what sets me apart, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I love that. Um, what do you think? Talking about these experienced advisors and planners, and they've been around for long, they've seen it all, or so they think. Um, just as none of us has ever seen it all. But what do you think they often misunderstand about what it is like being a young? Because I mean, when they were young financial advisors and planners, many of them, not all of them, but many of them came from a very different pre-phase, pre-FICA, pre all of these regulations and that. So, and they've gone through all these changes. So when they started and what they had to do to get started versus what you have to do to get started, etc., is probably, in my opinion, not the same. But just in your view, what is it that they often misunderstand what it is like to be in your shoes?
Sure. I think a lot of experienced advisors think, we live in a different world now. There's a lot of opportunities now. There's much more accessibility as well. And I think they think it's easy, to make it in this financial planning realm. I think, they think it's easier than when they first started, which can be true to a certain extent, Um, and I think, what, more accessibilities, more opportunities, more inclusiveness means, as I've said, a lot of hands in the basket. There's a lot of competition, to be quite honest, and you probably need to work twice as much, to be able to get to where they are. I mean, I don't think they understand that. And to be quite honest, Francois, um, now we are met, or rather, we're dealing with clients that are much more knowledgeable. We are dealing with clients that are much more informed. There's things like AI that our clients can use, to seek certain information, to learn about certain things. There's articles that are available online for free that they can view to teach themselves to get better. So it's hard to build credibility. I think it's much harder to build credibility. It's much harder to build trust, even with your clients, because of the reasons that I've just specified. And I don't think they understand that. And also, to answer it in a different perspective, professionally, I think as well, how they view their clients is much more different to how we view them. I mean, this also goes back to the relatability part and connecting with your clients. It's their approach, and I think it works. Their approach is basically connecting to clients, meeting up with them, having these lunches with them. Going to play golf with them, just so you can form a connection, or get new clients. But I think with us, we are more focused on the internet, because there's a lot of opportunities there as well. You can form these connections through the internet. There's LinkedIn's, there's a lot of spaces that you can go into that allows you to form a client base. So yeah, even from a professional perspective, how they view clients and their way of working is much more different. I understand that a lot of them are actually trying to move in with the times and actually, absorb and get better. But yeah, I do think that they think it's much more easier now, more than anything. But yes, there's accessibilities, but there are more people coming into this space, meaning that you have to work incredibly hard. So, yeah.
Awesome. When you look at the profession through your own eyes and sort of your viewpoint, what kind of future do you hope to see for financial planning specifically in South Africa?
Sure. That's a good question. Francois, I am, more inclusiveness, to be quite honest. I think, yes, we are getting there, or rather, the profession is getting there. It can be at a much more better space. I think more accessibility as well. But I mean, I do understand there's already varsities that are working on that, like what you see with us when I was at the University of Johannesburg. The competition helped with the exposure. It helped with a lot of accessibility to a lot of things, and to understanding that financial planning is actually a profession. So yeah, I think more accessibility and more women, more women, excuse me, and honestly more Black women, to be quite frank, and more young people. But you know what, I'm loving it because I'm seeing more young people coming into the space. I'm not saying that there's a lot of old people, but I'm just saying it
They
would
are.
be nice. Yeah, to be quite honest, they are. But it's really nice to see more young people coming into this space and knowing about financial planning, and knowing that this is actually a lifestyle more than anything, knowing what it actually is, because also and that's just from my perspective, that there's a difference between like a financial planner and a financial advisor, for me personally. When a financial planner for me is someone who looks at your situation holistically, and offers certain solutions for the betterment of your future, not just you're not just a number to them, and they're not just making commission or money from you. And I'm not saying there's something wrong about it. There's nothing wrong about that at all. So for me, it's really just the clear definition, because a lot of people, when you say, don't you want to be a financial planner or a financial advisor, they automatically think it's sales. Do you understand? So for me, hence I'm saying more education about the difference, and how financial planning really changes people's lives. Yeah.
Awesome. I want to ask you one quick question before we end off, about the inclusivity, more inclusive profession and all of that. I fully agree with you. What I am curious about is what does that look like, and how do we get it? Does it mean, what does inclusivity really mean? Is it more opportunities that more people can take advantage of, right? Or is it that if you want to be inclusive, you've got to go get them and bring them in? Like, just maybe your way of looking at inclusivity from for being an inclusive environment. What does that look like?
Yeah. So for me, it's a combination of both. It is basically more opportunities that people grab, that people make good use of. And there are no barriers. There are no cultural barriers. There are no racial barriers. There are no age restrictions. It's literally just a basket full of eggs that you can utilize the best way you see how, the best way you know how. It's also about accessibility to those opportunities, allowing yourself to go into spaces that allow you to feel like they are reachable. Go to these events that are happening in the fund. There's a lot of events that happen, and there's a lot of networking that happens there that allows you to be in rooms with people that are capable of bringing to you. So for me, it's mostly about grabbing these opportunities, and for those opportunities to be welcoming as well, in the sense that there aren't barriers around. You can always just grab it and make use of it, to be quite honest.
Karabo, it was fascinating talking to you. I really enjoyed it. Time flew by. So thank you so much for your time, and well done on all the opportunities you've grabbed hold of. That you're making the most of it, for all the contributions you're making to the profession. Don't think that because where you are and because you're still learning that you're not contributing. Do understand that you are contributing, and by being on the show, you are contributing, and through everything that you do every day, you are contributing. So thank you very much for that. We wish you all the best. If there's one last thing you'd want to say to somebody that's sort of, you a year or two or three ago, or somebody who just started, what would you want to leave them with today?
Sure. Francois, it's all hard work. It's really all hard work. It's consistency. It's be willing to do what others are not willing to do. Be willing to do all those small little things that people deem are irrelevant. It's all hard work, and it's knowing your why. This journey has been tough. Post-grad was tough, and this year in the financial planning space, it's been tough. There's a lot of times where you'll feel like you will second you'll doubt your decision of getting into the space, because I genuinely think this space is not an easy space to be in and to remain in. But when you know your why and you're doing something, it keeps you through, even through adversities. I always say I'm doing this simply to change people's lives. I am doing this simply because I want a change in my community. I am doing this simply because I want a better quality of life for me and my family. There's a lot of reasons why I'm doing it, and why I am doing it has kept me through everything that I've experienced this year alone. It has kept me through, adversities that you go through. So yeah, you should know your why. Have a clear vision of your why, embody it and understand it. What helps me usually is to every single morning, to just say my affirmations and remind myself why I am doing something, and it's something that I'm very intentional about now. Because even when you burn out, because that happens a lot in this profession, when you've been working so hard and you've been doing this and you've been doing that, when you burn out, things like your why and your passion really keep you and really keep you going. You understand? So your passion, the passion that you have for your craft as well, will keep you going. So for me, Francois, it's knowing your why. It's literally being passionate about your craft. It's hard work. Incorporate all of that with hard working, consistency, faith, and knowing that the physical representation I spoke of earlier is where you want to be, your destination. You have a picture. So yeah, working through it all, regardless of the adversity.
Awesome. Karabo, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everything that you shared, and well done once again. And we wish you all of the best for the next steps and the next year that's ahead. And looking forward to running into you at all of the events and things like that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Francois. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate everyone being here. I see there's quite some cool words of encouragement for Karabo in the comments. So thank you all for that as well. And next year, we're going to look at how can we incorporate more comments and things into the show. So we will do that. But for now, thank you so much. My guest next week is Zain Ali from Fairbairn Consult. We're going to talk some interesting things for the last show of the year. So hope to see you back next week. Almost said next year. Next week. Anyway, so until then, you know what to do. Stay safe, be blessed, and prosper, stay curious, and praise the Lord. Thanks for joining us on PROpulsion. If you found value in today's episode, then there's plenty more where this came from. You can find all our previous episodes right here on the podcast, as well as on our YouTube channel. And talking about the YouTube channel, we go live every single Friday at 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. and we host many different guests, and we also talk about very interesting topics. And on the live show, there's also some incredible segments hosted by some of the most well-known and influential financial planning professionals. So you are most welcome to join us every single Friday. Put it in your diary and we will see you there. And on that note, also please do check out propulsion.co.za/community for all of the goodness, and learn more about how you can become part of our amazing community and how that would benefit you, your business, and your career. So on that note, stay curious and keep raising the bar.